In this video, we will be talking about explanation. And explanation is actually a very key, crucial skill that you all basically will have to deal with. So in terms of an explanation, what we are really looking out for is this idea called a link. Now, what exactly this link is? So whenever you're asked a question, okay, and they ask you to explain your answer. So it can be, say, for example, in a source-based question, where they ask you, what can you infer from this source? And explain your answer. For example, a question like that. You will actually see that the explanation here, there is a link. The role of the explanation here is actually to link your, say, for example, the point you're making together with your evidence, okay? And this link basically will link these 2 points together, all right? And somehow, in this case here, your link can actually be in the form of an impact, okay? Sometimes, depending, it may be also a cause in that sense there. So another way you can link is, say, for example, you ask a question like, how does one factor lead to another, or how does this factor actually lead to the issue, okay, for example. All right, so again, you're linking a point plus the example. All right, so these are actually ways that you can do it. Of course, in this sense here, right, the point example here, it can be also your impact, or it can be your cause as well. Now, more importantly, what you need to understand is that the explanation actually helps the reader make sense, okay, of the point you're making, okay, of the point you are making in relation to the evidence or example. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is basically what an explanation is. Imagine a situation where you're trying to piece 2 pieces of wood together. Okay, and one of the only ways, and probably the best way for you to be able to piece both these wood together, is to use glue. So imagine your 2 pieces of wood being your description and evidence or an explanation. Evidence or example, and the glue here is your explanation. All right, so that is how important an explanation is in your answer. Let me just take some time and take a look at a few examples here. Let's look at source A. Okay, this is benefit that music actually brings. Okay, you can talk about the idea that music actually slow down the heart rate and lower the hormones that makes you feel all tense. All right, mini vacation for your mind. All right, when you feel overwhelmed, music can work its magic. So they ask you the source. What does the source tell you about music? Of course, this is not an inference or description video, so actually everything has been done already here. All right, we just want to look at the explanation. Okay, so in terms of your inference, so music can actually help a person reduce stress, and you can see here that this evidence here, it actually shows you, how a person actually can reduce stress by listening to music. The thing here is that if you are actually using this, you need, this is basically just the evidence. I want to know how, okay? I want to know how does slowing down your heart rate, lowering the hormones actually help you to reduce stress? So that is the key question I want to find out. How does this reduce stress? And the explanation actually helps you with that. So look at what I've written here, all right? Music helps to reduce stress. So here, right, you say that it can slow down your heart rate, lower hormones that make you feel tense. What is the impact of it is that people will feel more relaxed. People will feel less nervous. It will make the person feel calm and less anxious about the situation they are in. Now, in this case here, it creates an impact. The impact of music, so that it actually helps a person reduce stress. This is basically how I link the evidence here to the point that I'm bringing up here. So I'm actually linking these 2 together. All right. So that's for example, a source-based question. Now, if we take a look at, say, for example, a question that requires you to just, explain how bad temper leads to conflict. In this case here, bad temper, imagine bad temper is what we call A. Leading to conflict, this is B. Because sometimes they may ask questions like, like, how does one factor lead to a bigger issue? So this is the kind of question. So I'm not going to go through too much in terms of the point and the example here. So the example is just very clear, right? Quick temper can actually cause, big cause for conflict. Imagine a situation whereby you're trying to solve a problem, then one of you get frustrated, starts yelling or slamming, saying mean things, don't want to work together, right? Okay, create a negative environment. So in this case here, what should my explanation do is that using all these inside here, using everything that you can see in this paragraph, you should be able to explain how A leads to B. How A leads to B. That is the question we want to ask, and that is what we want to answer. Again here, how does A lead to B? Okay, look at my explanation here. If we take a look at what is being bolded, you actually can see that we talk about the idea of bad temper may easily cause disagreement. So bad temper, the first step, the process, it causes disagreement, okay, and it will might cause misunderstanding. So disagreement will lead to misunderstanding, which will actually increase tension, and it will eventually lead to conflict. So in this case here, right, what I've written as the explanation is not the impact, if you realize that, because the impact here is leading to conflict, correct? So whatever I've written generally, or actually it's not really the impact, but it is the process which leads to that impact. So this is one other way that actually you can use to explain, all right, your point, okay? So one, and what I mentioned, is either cause or impact, like what we talked here. In this case, the impact. Then the other one that I have is this one here. When we talk about the process of how A leads to B. All right, that's another way you can actually explain. Now, by seeing all this here, by looking at all this here, let me just bring you all to the power of explanation. Okay, how powerful an explanation can really be. Let's take a look at this question here. Let's take a look at the news headline. By the way, this is a true news headline. I am not bluffing you in any way. Okay, this is a real news headline. I think it came out sometime in 2024. Okay, in China, there's a drop in pork prices will lead to fewer people playing badminton around the world. So how does a drop in pork prices, this is A, lead to fewer people playing badminton? B, I want to know the process behind it, right? This is so unseemingly related, right? Drop in pork prices and playing badminton. How is it possible? Let's take a look here. So a drop in pork prices, okay, means that the demand for pork will actually go up, increase, right? This would mean that farmers would rear more pigs. More pigs. What's the impact of him rearing more pigs? He will rear, this word is rear, okay, rear less ducks and chickens. So why is it so important that he's actually rearing less ducks and chickens? Because this would mean there'll be lesser duck feathers. And why is it so important? If there's lesser duck feathers, it means that there are lesser shuttlecocks that you can make. And because there's lesser shuttlecocks, basically the number of people playing badminton around the world will decrease as well. Okay? So you can see now here how powerful an explanation really is, to the point that it actually can link two very unseemingly related topics together. All right? So that's how important an explanation is.